Hello, boys and girls. Mr. Poust here. So nice to see you. Have a great story called Bugs for Lunch. Let me see a couple insects that we know. All right, you can call it out. See the moth. Excellent. There's a caterpillar there. Learn about a bunch of different insects in this book. So excited. Bugs for lunch. Oh yeah, and the praying mantis. How could I forget? If your lunch was a bug, who could you be? Maybe a nuthatch, at working in a tree. Run. Or maybe a spider trapping a fly. That's a cool spider. Or a bat catching bugs as it cruises the sky. You know what bats use to find insects in the sky? Echolocation. Awesome. You might be a gecko. Lots of insects on the menu for him. Or maybe a mouse eating the insects in somebody's house. You might be a shrew, not just eating lunch, but snacking all day on bugs by the bunch. I think a shrew is in the same family as a mole. Oh, look at that guy. So many bumps on him. A long tongue. You could be a toad, zapping a fly with a flip of the tongue in the blink of an eye. Dragonflies, it looks like. Wow. Yeah, remember the toad's got the short, stumpy legs. They're very bumpy, whereas frogs are very smooth and have like the long back legs. Oh, here we go. Or maybe a mantis, ready to prey on any size insect that happens its way. You might be a trout at home in a brook, looking for insects that aren't on a hook. Oh yeah, trout is very opportunistic as well. So grandioso. You could be a bear searching for honey, but finding that bees taste just as yummy. I'm not going to try that one to find out. I'll take his word for it. You know what that's called? Or maybe an aardvark whose tongue, long and sticky, slurps termites and ants that others think icky. You know, Arthur is an aardvark. I'm a big fan of Mark Brown books. I don't know the name of this plant. Learned about in science. You could be a plant that can't chase a fly, but just sits and waits for its food to drop by. And it's called the Venus flytrap. Good. What's happening here? If your lunch was a bug, you might be just you. Munching on insects, as some people do. This is true. In other countries, I've heard about this. I had a student a couple years ago that went to Mexico and came back and had a bag full of dried fried grasshoppers, and he was eating them, and he actually enjoyed them. He said it was like a delicacy. So let's learn some more facts. More about bugs for lunch. There are more insects in the world than any other kind of animal. More than 800,000 insects have been studied and named, but scientists believe that there are probably millions that nobody knows about yet. It's a good thing that insects are food for so many creatures, or the world might be overrun with them. The nuthatch is called the upside down bird because it walks head first down tree trunks as it searches for food. With a strong beak, it pries out insects, caterpillars, and insect eggs that are hidden in cracks of bark. Spiders catch insects in webs and traps made of silk. Each species of spiders has a distinctive design for its web or trap. When they catch more than they can eat at one time, most spiders wrap the leftovers in silk to save for a later meal. That's what they're doing. Bats fly from their roost to look for food as the sun goes down. But even in total darkness, they can catch insects. Bats send out constant stream of sounds that are pitched so high that people cannot hear them. As these sounds hit objects, they echo back to the bat. When an insect flies across the beam of sound, the bat can tell exactly where the bug is and can swoop down to catch it in flight. A gecko is a small lizard that lives in warm climates. Many people like to have geckos in their gardens and backyards. They know that geckos will come out of hiding at night to eat moths and other insects that people find pesky. Not everyone likes to have a mouse in the house because mouse nibble on almost anything they can find. Perhaps if more people knew that mice also eat juicy beetle grubs, insect eggs, and moths, they wouldn't mind having a few mice around. A shrew is one of the smallest mammals in the world and probably one of the busiest. Between short naps, shrews are always on the run, searching for insects. They use so much energy that they cannot go more than a few hours without eating. Every day, they eat enough insects to equal 2 or 3 times their own weight. If you find a toad in your garden, don't chase it away. It's a champion insect eater. A toad's long sticky tongue is fastened to the front edge of its lower jaw. When a toad sees a bug, it shoots out its tongue, zaps the insect, and has eaten it before you can blink an eye. A praying mantis can sit as still as a twig on a tree for hours. When a juicy bug lands nearby, the mantis lashes out and grabs the insect with its spiny front legs. Mantises are welcome in gardens because they eat so many destructive insects. The praying mantis got its name because when it holds its front legs together in front of its face, it looks like it's praying. When a trout spots an insect cruising above a brook, it will leap from the cold, clear water and catch the insect in flight. Fishermen often bait their hooks with artificial flies that have made it to look like mayflies, and other insects they know trout like to eat. Trying to deceive the trout. Bears aren't fussy eaters. They like all kinds of food: fish, berries, mice, insects, insect grubs. But they really love honey. When a bear climbs a tree and tears into a beehive with its long claws, bees swarm out. But the bear doesn't seem to mind. Its thick fur protects it from bee stings while it munches juicy bees mixed with the yummy honey. Aardvarks are earth pigs. I never heard that one before. Live in deep burrows in Africa. They come out of their tunnels at night when warthogs and their other enemies are sleeping. After an aardvark digs open a huge termite hill or ant nest, it slurps up the swarming insects with its long, sticky tongue. The Venus flytrap is a carnivorous or meat-eating plant. Its hind legs are edged with spiny teeth. The slight pressure of an insect landing on a few sensitive hairs of the leaf trigger the leaf to snap shut. In a few days after the trapped insect has been digested, the leaf opens, ready for another meal. That is fascinating. You might eat insects too, especially if you live in a country where meat is scarce. In Cambodia, a fat roasted tarantula is a treat. People who live in Central Australia gather moth caterpillars called witchetty grubs to roast in the ashes and hot sand around a campfire. And in Indonesia, children are flexible reed covered with sticky sap to catch dragonflies for a delicious stir fry served on rice. See, different parts of the world have different diets. Hope you enjoyed it. I learned so much. See you soon.